No. There must be something else.
Anna,
No.
listen to me. Anna.
No. There must be something.
I need $18,000 in 10 days.
Jesus Christ, Anna.
You're not a U.S. citizen.
No. I don't want anyone to get hurt.
There's other ways of doing it.
We don't have a choice. They are working with the local law enforcement. They know where you work. They know where you live. Now with you there, we can keep working, build on the hardship.
I can't go back.
Andrew,
Hey, how are you?
what's going on? Jeff in Vegas. Good afternoon.
Oh man, it's good to hear from you, dude. How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for talking to me today about long gone by. I keep saying
man.
the long goodbye. You know, I keep, for some reason, it just keeps, it's a
Oh, that's quite an honor, that Freudian slip you're making.
Exactly. Well, I watched Long Gone By last night. Very powerful, very relevant. And Anna Alvarez, she's a mother who sacrifices everything for her daughter. And I kept thinking, there's got to be so many stories like Anna's.
Yeah, I think so. I was doing some documentary work before we made this film, and I was spending time with some families who are in similar situations to the one Anna finds herself in. And it was pretty gut-wrenching stuff, and it was pretty moving. I mean, my wife and I have small kids, and there's something very universal about being a parent, and yet there's something so horrifying about being in a situation where you could be separated from that person that you feel is like a part of you. So yeah, that's very much where the story started in a lot of ways.
And, you know, Anna wanted a better life. You know, she came from Nicaragua to America, and she brought her daughter Izzy just as a baby. So she's a dreamer. It's the only country she's ever known. And I can't imagine people and families being torn apart, sent back to whatever country they came from originally. And the kids are extra suffering because they don't know that country. America's all they've ever known.
Yeah, that's really the morally reprehensible part of this whole story, is that, you know, our immigration policies in this country have been a mess for a long time. And whatever side of the aisle you're on, and whatever your viewpoint on how to fix that, a lot of us can acknowledge the fact that it's been a really chaotic process for a number of years. And so in that time period, you've had people who have come here and who have built lives, and who have, had children and worked jobs and paid taxes. And it's those people in particular, to me, the process of just uprooting those people, it's upsetting, and it's happening at an incredibly rapid rate. And I think that idea that this isn't about someone who, has been here a few weeks or a few months. There are stories, many stories of people who've been here for decades, and that's where she finds herself.
And you shoot this in Warsaw, Indiana. It's small town America story. It's not just in LA and New York. It's every town USA in America where this is happening.
Yeah, it is. And in a lot of ways, it's surprising, I think, to people how much it's happening in some of these smaller towns, because there's an incredible amount of the U.S. labor force. There's an incredible amount of jobs. I mean, in the news right now, there's a lot of talk about meatpacking plants. A bunch of that labor is being supported by these people. So I think, yeah, we kind of wanted to put it in that like all-American Norman Rockwell sort of background, so that it wasn't just, California or New York, as you say. It was really like, this has been a part of the American story for as long as America's been America. And it is, there is no state, no city, this is happening. And this is a part of, if we look closely, all of our communities on one level or another.
And you shot this entire film in Warsaw, Indiana. Was there a particular reason why you chose Warsaw? I can't believe Mayberry still exists. I mean, I want to visit.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. We were scouting different places around the country. I mean, frankly speaking, we made this film on an incredibly small budget. And so to begin with, one of the ways we were going to pull it off was we knew we had to set up in a town that could not only give us all the locations that we needed, but also we knew we needed a lot of local support from a community that wanted us to tell the story and to be a part of helping that happen. And I was working with a production coordinator who actually lives there, and he flew me out and said, just come take a look at what we have here. And really within a couple of days I was sold, and we were still writing the script at that point. So what was fun was we were able to kind of then go back and like refashion the script and the story specifically to that town and to the locations that we had available.
And Anna, it's her final act of love for her daughter. And I don't want to give any spoilers away because what she resorts to, I was not expecting whatsoever. And she has to go into the underworld of Warsaw, which I can't believe exists in Indiana. That seedy bartender. I mean, I just love that actor and I love that bar. I mean, that's actually in Warsaw.
Yeah, it is. That's great you said that. Tony DeMille is the actor and he's brilliant. And I love that bar so much. That bar is almost like a character in the film because it's like it's that bar you see, and then it's connected, as you see at one point in the film, it's connected to a bowling alley. And we were scouting a bunch of those, and when we walked in there, I was just like, it's too good to be true as a location. And yeah, what Anna goes through is remarkable. And I think we were trying to make a film that sort of blurred the lines and flipped this whole idea on its head of who's a criminal, who's a citizen, who's the good guy, we wanted to make something that wasn't just like a bunch of violins playing for this poor, pitiful character, but actually give her some agency and put her in a situation that kind of makes us all ask some bigger questions about what kind of system we've designed that's put someone in a place with those few choices.
And being a classic movie fan, I kept thinking what Anna does, she would never get away with in the 30s or 40s or the 50s because of the Hays Code. This thing. I mean, she did what she did, and I don't see her as a criminal. Just a mother with her back against the wall. But I just kept thinking this was another decade she would not have succeeded.
Well, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating you say that, and I agree, especially based on film history. But it's really interesting to me because I kept thinking when we were making it, how many times in movies we've seen male heroes not only cross the invisible line of the law, but really wreak untold havoc in order to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. And it's really fascinating. It's been fascinating to see with audiences how uncomfortable it makes us when it's not Bruce Willis, but it's actually a woman, and not just a woman, but a woman from a community that's stigmatized. And I don't know, I kind of love what that does to the whole sense of it. Like, we're definitely playing a little bit with some of those traditional tropes and putting it in this character where it's a little bit uneasy.
I think Les Mis is the greatest example of that. You're rooting for someone who's not a criminal, but has to do what they have to do to survive, and they pay the price for it.
Oh, that's such a great example. Yeah, that's my mom's all-time favorite story. We grew up watching that musical
I've
two
seen
times a
so many
week.
different versions of that over the last 25 years. It's amazing how many versions are out there. So I always tell the people, the one with Anthony, not Anthony, what's his, who played Psycho? Norman Bates. Why am I going blank?
I'm going blank too.
Anyway, I'll think of his name. But he did a great PBS version. Tony Perkins. That's
Tony Perkins. Yes.
So that's a great version. Now, what I loved about your film is that we're seeing Anna struggle, and of course, bringing this into the spotlight. Everybody's all these dreamers and all these illegal, undocumented immigrants. But then the second half of the movie that you interject with it is Izzy's budding romance. Her being a teenager because she's bike riding, she's swimming, she's going for ice cream. I want to go to Warsaw. I mean, I just couldn't believe it's a John Mellencamp song. I kept thinking Jack and Diane.
Well, yeah, I love it too. And I love that sense. I think we're trying to play with that idea that like just below the surface of this dream-like image we have of America is a variety of human experiences. And I think the experience that Izzy, her teenage daughter, is having in the film versus the one that Anna, her mother, is navigating is really fascinating. And when we were spending time with some families in going through similar situations to this, I spent a lot of time with their kids, and I spent a lot of time with dreamers. And the thing about dreamers is, as you mentioned, they're temporarily protected under the law in a very shaky, unsettling way, but they temporarily kind of have a pass. And so their primary concern is their parents. So it's really interesting, the thought of growing up and going through those years in your life that are so beautiful and so new, and so there's so much about the world that you're experiencing, and at the same time to have this like shadow over your head. And I think that's what we experience for Izzy. And also, you know, honestly, just as a film, like, I think we were just trying to make them human beings. We were trying to humanize and kind of color in the lines. Like, anytime we think of any category of people as a category or a column or a nameless, faceless group, we're at our most dangerous historically. But anytime we start to think about, like, no, they have a name and they have a story and they have a boyfriend and they go to school. And
But you were juxtaposing Anna's story, what she was doing to give Izzy that life. So she kept saying in the movie, you're going to have a wonderful life. And you were showing what that American life could be in small town Warsaw, Indiana, and what she was going through. She obviously came from a very different background, coming from Nicaragua, political and the death squads, and really. But she was saying, this is what the life you're going to have. And we were just seeing a glimpse of that. But then you brought us back to reality. She was rejected, the bigotry that happened. And it's like, as soon as that romance started, it was over. And her would-be boyfriend just called her out in front of his mother. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, just like, that was just sobering.
It's brutal. Yeah, it's really brutal. And that's always been the story of America, is, you know, a generation, especially the immigrant story, is like each generation pushing their kids to experience a life that they know that they're not going to be able to have. And there's a really long tradition of that, and seeing it play out in front of you is I hope very moving. It is to me.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, this is great, some positive, and all of a sudden, you know, oh, it's not Thursday. What are you doing here to clean the house? Or I was just like, oh man. She admits to him, and you know, when she's helping him with his homework, like, yeah, I cleaned your house and I saw your pictures, and then from that moment on, he saw her differently.
It's really tough, and I think that her, Ethan's mom in the film, I think there's a bit of a stand-in to a kind of moral apathy in regards to a lot of people in this country, myself included at times in my life, sort of an obliviousness to the struggle or the story or the fact that other people's lived experience in this country could be so drastically different than their own. And it was kind of fun to play with that, and also kind of painful to play with that, because it hit a little close to home in terms of people I grew up around. And again, even in terms of my own naive self at times in my life.
And was there a significance to the poem that Izzy read in the film?
I read that poem a number of years ago, and I cut it out and I put it on the wall in my office, and I have always been looking for a place to use it. I just found it incredibly beautiful, and I found it incredibly, there's an innocence to it that when we started writing Izzy's character, it just jumped out at me. There's something profoundly tragic about it, which is sort of what's at the heart of this whole film. And from the beginning, that was always like the one piece I had. I had Erica Munoz, who I knew I wanted to write the character for, and I had that poem. And it was sort of interesting to watch it kind of all build around that.
And tell me about taking the film to the Latino Film Festival in New York. How was that experience?
It was so cool, man. It was special for us because my wife Emily produced the film, and we got to go and take our 4 kids with us who had been on location when we were making the film. And it was really special. I mean, it's an extraordinary festival. It's an extraordinary group of people who have gone out of their way to give a platform and give a voice to emerging talent. And to see, to see our cast and to see our team receive some love for the work that they did was, it was really gratifying. I mean, it was a very, very special moment for us.
And rumor has it that you had a scene in the bar where the police raided the bar, and you ended up not being able to use any of that footage. Something went wrong?
Yeah, that was a pretty chaotic scene. It was one of those great things, where you film something and you have like, you know what you need, and then you're like, the scene's just going, and so we're just gonna let it keep going. And every time we did a take where the police show up to that bar, Tony DeMille, and it kept getting more and more intense, their interactions. And there was like a vigilante type justice that was taking place. And meanwhile, like, our cameras are tracking through the bowling alley, as you see in the film, with Anna. So it was like every take we would get her out of there, and then in the background we would just hear more and more chaos breaking loose back behind us.
All right, I have to plead guilty on that. I just spoke to Erica and I asked her for a story that I could ask you that was like that. So she, guilty as charged. Well, what's next for you now that this is premiering on HBO? You got to be excited this weekend. That's a big deal. I'm
really excited. Yeah, it's they've been an incredible platform and an incredible partner, and yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more happy, honestly. It's going to be really fun to watch it, albeit remotely with our cast and our crew and our family here in Los Angeles. I'm working on a couple new things. We're in development on a new film, and I'm also in production on a new documentary as well right now. Still very, very early in the process, but really, really excited already about what we're putting together.
Well, we're talking to director Andrew Morgan for Long Gone By. Congratulations on the movie, and thanks for talking to me again. We'll talk again real soon. Thanks, man. Take care.
Darling, 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 the future is long gone by, and the past will never happen. We have only this, our one forever, so small, so infinite, so brief, so vast.